here for EDG.
Yeah, I just want to clarify in case I've confused anyone now. The reason they're red and blue is the team colors. I was just making a joke, but I realized it may not have been that obvious. It looks like, I'll move back to the draft now. It looks like the Rumble will be locked in. One of the most contentious junglers of MSI, I think it's fair to say, and a Karma alongside it. This is something that's been seen a lot over in NA.
Yeah, so the reason we've seen quite a bit of Karma is that she helps quite a bit. Champions like Viego and these kind of things to get in towards these fights can work really well. She can be flexed through multiple different roles as well. So we'll have to see where this is going to go. ppgod did have a pretty mean Karma though back in summer 2020, so could potentially be going down towards that bottom side of the map. Whereas when we look on the opposite side, it is going to be the Kaisa and the Nautilus coming through from EDG. So already we're seeing EDG kind of setting up again for this team fighting composition. A lot of control towards this early game on the bottom side of the map as well, where you can have Meiko set up for these plays with the Nautilus. So again, like classic EDG, right? You got this Udyr providing a strong mid jungle 2v2, and then on the bottom side of the map you have a lane that you can play around.
Alright, well, Senna locked in as well, and we are rattling through this draft, Dagda, as we have our first two picks on either side, but now towards the bans, excuse me. As we'll see where BLG want to go with this one. Obviously with the jungle and the bot lane locked in for the side of EDG, the ban towards solo lane's fairly simple. It's going to be Wukong taken away from Flandre. But for EDG, with this Karma, you don't necessarily know where everything's going to go.
I actually thought BLG would be eyeing up a Wukong for themselves. Because when I look at the BLG composition, they need something to try and provide that engage tool, right? You've got a Karma, you've got a Senna, you've got a Rumble. Like, you want something that just says, hey, look, press or here, Rumble, press or here, Senna, and get that big combo off. But it feels like right now, they're kind of missing that. So in my eyes, I was thinking, right, we're either going towards Wukong or maybe the Sett in the top lane. But by taking away the Wukong themselves, now it kind of says, okay, maybe they're still looking that Sett for their first pick here, but still feels a little bit odd in kind of limiting your own options there in the top lane.
Yeah, a bit of an interesting one. Maybe wanting to go for the Sett themselves and not wanting to go into the Wukong matchup potentially, and just thinking, hey, we've got the Senna, you got to ban the Tom Kench, try and force another support ban out here. And then suddenly we'll see the Karma flex to the support just to throw everything off a different angle. But the LeBlanc that we've been talking about has been banned away as well, so Scout won't get that one. It's Rise taken away from Zeka. Not a ban I was expecting.
No, I mean, it's something that can do a lot of power, obviously, with moving about the map and trying to get people into favorable positions. But I think as well with a composition where you're kind of going, hey, look, we're very much about mobility with this Karma and, sorry, trying to play around her speed ups. The Rise could do quite well in that situation. But I think already, as you can see, the Sett coming in here for BiuBiu, we're already talking about how you need someone to kind of be that engage tool and set up for the two ultimates between the Senna and that Rumble. And you got the Sett to do that perfectly now.
Jayce going to be the final lock in here, as it was the Gnar and the Sylas. And I just want to say, ladies and gentlemen, we get Scout, Sylas. Oh, it's too beautiful. This guy's a machine on Sylas. I'm so excited to watch it. It is going to be that Karma down in the bottom side, though. I was expecting it to be a Karma mid. And in fact, actually, it might be the Sett mid instead of on the top side. So BiuBiu has the favorable matchup into the Gnar. This is really nice from BLG.
It also gives Sett a super favorable matchup in the mid lane, so I like this flexibility here, and it feels like you've now actually played in towards the strengths, right? I mean, we talked about Zeka, who not so much stepping up as a carry for the team, but has been a facilitator. Well, Sett fixed that perfectly. You've got BiuBiu on an aggressive lane that WeiWei can play towards as well, because the Jayce should have control of that top side of the map. And you just kind of abandon the bottom lane to a certain extent, where Aiming and ppgod will just be looking to farm up and keep themselves safe with the invisibility and speed up that comes from Senna, and the shield and the speed up that comes through from the Karma as well. So it actually makes it a pretty difficult lane to gank, as long as they're staying safe from potential dives.
Yeah, you don't quite have the gobble up from Tom Kench, but you do have a lot of move speed, you've got a lot of shielding, a lot of healing. So potential that this could be a real nice game from BLG. However, a lot of playmaking on the side of EDG with the Sylas and the Kaisa for your two premier carries in that of Scout and Viper. It does feel like EDG have a lot of tools at their disposal to try and make things happen. And I have to say, I'm a little nervous about the top side, because BiuBiu playing the Jayce. Yes, he is a very good Jayce. He can dominate lanes. But Jayce is one of those champions in the LPL that we see many players be a little too aggressive on because he can dominate a lane and perhaps overextend a little bit. And guess what BiuBiu's kind of known for a little bit? Is being real aggressive and overextending. So we'll see how that's going to pan out across the top side. You see the crowd is ready. We're going to jump onto the rift here. It's game 1 between EDG and BLG as we take a look over the ruins, Dagda.
Yeah, we're still seeing that Conqueror Rumble being the most chosen here for Rumble Jungle, not going towards that Dark Harvest, but still going to give a heap of damage coming out, and especially for Rumble in this matchup where I personally love Rumble into like super short range compositions and super short range AD carries because you get so much use out of the ultimate. Like the equalizer can separate fights so well. Even if there tends to be a lot of people like all congregated around one area, you can get a lot of value out of it. But you do have to be very careful in this situation because you have a Sylas on the other team, and Sylas can do a pretty good job with a Rumble ultimate as well, or even a Sett ultimate or something like a Senna ultimate as well. Like there's a lot of tools here that Scout can use in these team fights as well. So I think there's going to be a heap of back and forth here when we get towards these later team fights, but it is going to be very much a case of can EDG try and control this mid lane through Scout and try and keep Zeka in check. Otherwise, the top half of the map for BLG is very clearly where they're looking to try and play towards and can do a lot of work with.
Yeah, we'll see if they're going to be able to control that mid lane, as you say. Flandre taking a heavy hit there from BiuBiu. Good start to the lane from him. I have to say, I was looking at the fan signs in the camera in the bottom left there, and there was a happy cat sign that was real nice. So I like seeing what the fans bring to the stage, because often it's just the same old, but sometimes you see some really creative stuff there. But let's talk about the pacing here. Let's talk about the junglers, because you can see WeiWei starting on the bottom side, pathing up. The opposite can be said for Jiejie, and he's been spotted on a wall.
So this is actually the really interesting thing for WeiWei. WeiWei did Raptors into blue into Gromp. So he's actually started off as Raptors to try and make sure that there was nothing that, like, Jiejie couldn't try and go for some sort of invade or try and split the map in any sort of way. And it means that now he's going to be pathing back towards this top side, so will be on a strong side of the map. So really creative pathing coming through from WeiWei just to try and throw off Jiejie a bit and in case any sort of shenanigans were happening.
And importantly, one of the downsides of this kind of pathing is you can see he is one camp down currently. So he'll take a little bit longer to finish his first clear, but it can pay off in the long run if he's able to read Jiejie correctly, which he will, because he had a ward on the Raptors of Jiejie. So he knows exactly where that Udyr is.
Yeah, and you can see here, like, WeiWei, he's going to be able to move across here. He'll pick up his own scuttle and going to be totally fine here. So just going to get a quick ward down to see... Oh, actually, they might be looking for an early dive. Jiejie's read this so well, though.
Yeah, forget the scuttle here, but as you say, Jiejie is here. Flandre about to turn Mega as well. This might be a bad opportunity after all. TP now coming through. EDG won't go down without a fight. WeiWei stunned under the tower. Everybody jumps in at EDG. That was beautiful.
That was so well played by EDG and specifically Jiejie. Like, the amount of times this guy has just been able to outperform mentally his opponent is insane. So now Jiejie, having read that BLG wanted to go for some sort of crazy dive top lane, has managed to get the top lane scuttle. He's going to get Raptors off of respawn here and bot side as ppgod. What happened?
ppgod died. I don't know what happened, but ppgod, he must have just got hooked. And, well, the karma not working out, I guess. And the worst part about this, Aiming can't farm this wave. This wave is going to crash. No one is going to be able to farm it because Aiming's going fasting center.
Yeah, I mean, this is a bit of a mess here. Like, you'll be able to pick up some of the CS, but as you said, like, with fasting center, you don't want to be taking up a lot of this now. Karma, obviously, able to get back to lane fairly quickly because of the shielding, but yeah, I mean, we'll need to see a replay of what happened there on bot side because I don't know what happened with ppgod. We get it here, yeah, just hooked, and I mean, no reason to really be in that position there. You're trying to just shove in the lane, play it safe, and scale up. No need to try and put that much poke down and put yourself in a dangerous spot.
Yeah, a bit of I'm not gonna lie. Look, ppgod, brand new team, first game, steps up, gets hooked at level 2 in the lane. It's not a good look, mate. It's really not a good look. He had a rough split last time as well, and I'm sure I'm gonna get plenty of hate on Twitter for saying nasty things about ppgod, but look, his last split really didn't look that good, and now in his first game, it's not a good way to start things off. But hopefully it will get better from here for him as WeiWei going to continue his clear. He has been spotted out by that Scry's Bloom, I believe, though, so they'll know exactly where he is. Drake is onto the map, though, Dagda, and it feels like EDG, with these early kills, surely have the advantage for that.
Well, it comes down to more so the push, right? And in mid lane, Zeka 20 CS up. He's going to have full control of mid. ppgod and aiming should be able to pretty handily crash this wave in and look for that dragon. You can see here, WeiWei is even in a position to try and just support them here to make sure they can get the full push, but looks like they won't turn it in towards the dragon quite yet, although pings are going down.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see about the dragon. I just want to repeat something you said there. Zeka, 20 CS up, almost 30. We're 6 minutes into the game, Dagda. And yeah, I know Scout went for a roam, but that's still an insane CS advantage.
So anyone who plays mid lane knows Sylas' like 1 to 4 sucks. Like, you just don't really do anything. And when you're playing against one of the most dominant melee champions that is just going to try and like face break you every single time, you're not going to have a good time. So as long as Scout is actually in an okay position to just try to farm up and keep the wave in a decent spot, that's a win in their books. But now you can see, not so much.
Oh, Showstopper comes through. I nearly called it the Showmaker then. Zeka backs away. Scout survives. It's all going to be fine in the end. But good little attempt there from BLG. But WeiWei not level 6 yet. They can't quite make it happen. There's a stun into the wall. BiuBiu's in trouble. Does get the Thunder and Blow to keep himself safe.
I mean, either way, apart from that mid lane play, EDG are doing phenomenal, right? You've got the 20 CS deficit top lane, yes, but you are also the Gnar. So the fact that you've been able to prevent that dive, you're not really giving the opportunity for BiuBiu to get more of these turret plates. I think you're actually doing pretty okay as Flandre. Bot side is going great for EDG. The big thing I want to see is Jiejie now, though, playing towards his top side like we're seeing right now. Trying to make sure that he can actually be able to help Scout and Flandre for anything that WeiWei wants to go for. Because 6 is about to be hit by the Rumble, and that's where these plays become so much more deadly.
No flash available for ppgod. Looks like Viper and Meiko aren't going to pull the trigger. They're just going to go to the bot side, collect this CS instead. But play towards the top side here. WeiWei's here. Equalizer goes down, and sure, Mega Gnar. But that's going to be a mega barbecue for WeiWei as he just burns him to a crisp, and they can make a play towards some plates on the top side. Oh, now
and
actually applying the bottom side as well. Jiejie's been caught. That's going to be the slow there. 1 or 2 more autos do the trick, but he is Udyr. So it kind of doesn't matter if you've got any CC, because he's completely invincible.
Big mistake from Flandre on the top side, though. This was something that we actually kind of hinted at in our death segment, was he just overextends sometimes. Like, Jiejie is in the opponent's jungle. They know that WeiWei is not there, so he has to be on that top side of the map. And going for an aggressive trade like that onto BiuBiu, when you know WeiWei is going to be top side, just is going to, well, it's just asking to give gold over to the opponent. So not really sure what Flandre was thinking there, and does end up netting a nice bit of gold over towards WeiWei on this Rumble.
Yeah, nicely done. And look, we've all seen what Rumble can do when he gets really ahead, especially if you do go for the Night Harvester. It does absolutely mental damage when the Equalizer hits onto a team. And with that Sett there to set him up, if you could get the root from Karma, or at very least the slows, there's a lot of really long-range damage here. Like, as you mentioned, the Dawning Shadow with the Equalizer, it's a lot of, like, on-target just blast someone. But on top of that, an accelerated shock blast from BiuBiu, like, somebody's going to get one shot.
Yeah, and that's a major, major issue, especially when EDG are playing such a short-range composition. They need to be the ones that are in control of these objectives, but when you've got a losing lane top, a losing lane mid, that becomes very difficult to have control of the game. And you can see BLG, right? They're already looking towards these Rift Heralds, and they could honestly have started these dragons a little bit sooner to try and play into that a bit more, but it's still going to be very hard for EDG to play out the game in the way they want. The only solace for them right now is that Viper and Meiko are just out duo laning, aiming in ppgod, and they're giving EDG a bit of respite on the map.
Yeah, and EDG, they'll get a couple of plates on that bottom side, but they'll also get themselves a Drake. So not a bad start for EDG either. And let's be honest, like, with the outplay on the top side, I've certainly not lost any faith in EDG on how they're going to play this one out. The Sylas is going to look amazing in the mid game, so is the Kaisa, and we've all seen what Gnar can do over the course of MSI. Definitely a power pick for Flandre. So EDG, certainly not out of the running just yet, but I am liking what BLG are bringing to the table. And the reason we're celebrating BLG so much on this cast is that Like, look, last split, they really didn't have a good time. It feels like these roster moves maybe can answer a lot of their issues. And so far in their first game, against a big team as well, taking anything from EDG is kind of a feat. I'm impressed by what we're seeing so far.
Yeah, well, EDG has traditionally been a slower paced team anyway. Like, we have kind of waited for them to come online. Like, it has been about playing towards those early dragons, right? And trying to see if you can get Scout ahead into bot lane pressure. Now, this game hasn't been about Scout just because of the matchup that we have there, but still, Jiejie has been trying to have some sort of impact, has managed to get himself a little bit of a level lead, although we can't really see it right now, has the CS lead as well. So I think we're going to wait until we get to this mid-game point where Sylas can have these massive impacts with the ultimates. Viper has hit the Collector and also has most likely the Gale Force in this game. And Flandre is just in a better spot with the Stride Breaker. I think that's where we're going to see EDG try and look to actually fight this. Whereas for BLG, they're kind of in a similar boat, right? They can look to play really well around these mid-game fights with like Jayce having the Eclipse completed, even Zeka as well, just being an absolute monster with the Stride Breaker, and WeiWei on point with the Nightbringer too. So I think these mid-game fights are going to be crazy, but BLG should be able to come out on top as long as they're able to keep the distance and not let EDG close that gap.
All right, we're going to see BLG play from range, and then suddenly Zeka will find his window and not play from range anymore. That's the way that BLG wins the fight, whereas EDG, it's a little bit more standard, a little bit more what you would expect in terms of how these fights will go down. Jiejie does grab his Gromp as WeiWei has arrived on the top side of the map. There's no one here to defend, and a Herald will be dropped. This should be the tower taken, and this will be first tower of the game if they can finish it off. But actually, with Jiejie here, with Flandre arriving as well, I'm not sure this tower's going to go down. Might be defended. One more auto would do the trick, but the tower survives for now. The stun comes out to BiuBiu, equalizer down. As Meiko is arriving too. Flash forward, but he hooks a minion. There's a depth charge onto BiuBiu. This is surely a kill. Flandre grabs it in the end in favor of EDG.
And look at where BLG are positioned on the map, right? Aiming isn't even bot lane, he's wandering through mid. ppgod is only now getting back down to the bottom side, so EDG, yes, they lose a lot of those turret plates, but they're going to be able to answer back with Flandre here, and with WeiWei on the side as well. Big win for EDG.
And again, we see BLG make a proactive play towards the top side, and EDG read them like a damn book. It doesn't feel like it's fair at this point. It feels like they're using map hacks or something, because everything BLG have tried to do this game, EDG have had the perfect answer.
And I think that's been the most impressive part of EDG from Spring Split, was just their ability to, specifically Jiejie, to read his opponent and understand, you know, what does my opponent want to do right now? How do I try and counteract this? And you can see it coming to fruition here. Turns around that initial gank on towards the top side of the map. Now you get him playing up towards the top side to turn around the Rift Tower play as well. Now, tower does go down, but it's a lot later and with a lot more gold going over towards EDG before that occurs.
So, as you said, a fairly slow start to things as we slowly but surely head towards the 15-minute mark here. And we do have another Drake coming up in a minute, and importantly, it's going to be a Cloud Drake Dagda, which means we get some good souls here. We get either an Infernal or a Mountain Soul. Souls worth fighting for. EDG have one Drake in their pockets already so far. Now, the question I have for you, Dagda, is, are EDG going to be in a position to just snowball these? Because sure, they've got 3 kills, but in terms of gold, we're just even right now.
So I actually think it's fine for EDG right now. The one dragon they have in Lu is kind of a bit of a godsend. Because when you look towards EDG's teleports right now, right? Scout and Flandre both have theirs up. They can give over one Cloud Drake, look to focus on either the Mountain or the Infernal Dragons afterwards, and instead use this time to get control of the map. Like, Flandre, go out towards this top tower. If BiuBiu sticks around, hell, bring Scout up as well. Go for a dive onto the top side. It looks like they're actually going to be doing this as well, as BiuBiu's now in trouble.
You don't even need to dive if BiuBiu just face checks the Tri-Brush instead. That's his flash on cooldown. No TP either. You've got to expect that's going to be a top lane tower here taken by EDG. Important to mention that BiuBiu did manage to finish off that top tower that we saw get really low earlier on since the play. He managed to get the first tower of the game, so EDG will only be answering with that tower, but in the meantime, BLG do get the opportunity to get onto this Drake, like you said.
This is more important for EDG, though, getting down these towers. Because remember what we talked about, right? It's actually very similar to game 1 that we saw in our last series. EDG with the short range composition need to be the ones that are in control of objectives. Because if it's BLG, they can play at range, they can poke with Karma, with the Senna to a certain extent, especially with the Jayce too, and just consistently kite out EDG. But if BLG are the ones that have to enter in towards Baron Pits, enter in towards Dragon River, that's when they're going to be face checking in towards Flandre, Scout, Meiko, and it becomes way harder for them to deal with. So for EDG, get down towers, get that vision control. That's what they need to prioritize right now.
BLG pushing the bottom side. We'll see if they're going to be able to prioritize correctly across this game, but EDG right now prioritizing the Rift Herald, and obviously with BLG down in the bottom side of the map, there'll be no contest here, but there could be a dive on the bottom side, but Viper, he knows that's coming. He's got well out of dodge. He's all the way over at Red Buff at this point. So it could well be the tower going down in this bottom lane. Although I will say, Senna Karma, not the strongest at pushing, but I think just with no contest, they should be able to get it anyway. Hang on a second, Zeka. That's not a great spot to be.
No, the Fountain's really not a good spot to be in general. And now you've got the Rift Tower coming in towards mid lane, and again, crucial towers going in favor of EDG. Yes, you will trade this for bot lane, but made for a bot tier 1, you will take most days. It's Flandre!
Oh, what a play from Flandre. Just locks him up and takes him down. See you later, BiuBiu. That'll be a tower guaranteed. Maybe even more if they want to push for it.
Yeah, I think they're just going to back away now. Like, they've gotten so much gold. You've got the entire top side of BLG that went towards Jiejie. Flandre's gotten 2 towers plus a kill for himself there. Like, and you've got more kills going the way of Viper. Like, this is where EDG are starting to get control of the game, which is going to be so crucial for them. And you can see here, Scout doing a great job of hovering off the side, hits the Everfrost slow to set him up, and even nicking away Zeka's ultimate to make sure he's too far away from home to have an escape.
Yeah, very nicely done there by Scout. Playing it beautifully to make sure Zeka is caught out of position and basically making him out of position for the catch. The minion wave will be thinned out here by Viper, so BLG don't get to answer in that mid lane. So let's have a quick recap, because we've got Dragon coming up in 2.5 minutes here. The gold lead slightly in favor of EDG, but it's only 1,000 right now. In terms of kills, though, they're the ones leading the charge. They're the ones having advantages in these plays. Doesn't feel like it's come into a massive advantage just yet, but it does feel like the long...
Oh, Jiejie.
He's Udyr. He's fine. He's got phase rush. He'll just sprint back out. You can literally walk into 3 people, and it's completely fine because Udyr. But now, threatening a dive on this bottom side. WeiWei's still here. Zeka just desperately trying to clear the wave, but it's not going to happen, I don't think. Equalizer available for Scout as they're looking for the dive onto Zeka. Here we go. Everfrost goes wide. Equalizer not going to do too much either, and actually Zeka walks away from this one. Tower will go down. Meiko gets a hook, and BLG are out of there. The tower secured. Flandre still going in. This is a bit of an and ah sort of fight here. Flandre just throws a boulder and walks away.
Yeah, but look at BiuBiu on that top side, right? He's going to get a lot of damage onto this top lane turret. May just about get it down, although going to be a close one. But either way, yeah, Flandre going way too far on that one. The play had already been backed off of. You can see Scout had already started his recall as Flandre is trying to make that play happen. But it will be top bot tower going down. Some nice vision going in for EDG on that bottom side. Whereas BLG will now get control of the top, which isn't quite as strong with Dragon in a minute.
Can he get it? Oh, he just got in position before Jiejie could get the blast cone. That was real close. BiuBiu greeting for the Gromp, but he gets away with it. And by results-based analysis, we can call that a correct play.
Yeah, definitely the just about working out for him. But now you've got BiuBiu, who's going to be late towards this Dragon, right? 50 seconds on it. You've already got full control here for EDG. They've got the river. You're going to be able to get these deeper control. Though, as I say that, Scout will probably have to TP in to try and keep that control over the river. Because otherwise, we can have BLG take back this vision, look to poke from afar, and make it really difficult for EDG to contest this Dragon.
That'll be the challenge. 30 seconds, and we'll see if BLG can execute on exactly that. There's a soul there for Senna, but aiming, not interested. Looking for mid priority instead as the whole team moves on in. Good little tag onto Viper there. But it is going to be EDG that are in position on the Drake right now. So BLG, it's going to be difficult for them to play from range like you're talking about. And when you look at their roster, Zeka's sort of the only one that can even consider face checking.
Oh, Zeka's leading the charge here. His hook.
Oh no, he sidesteps. The hook goes onto ppgod instead, but he will survive for now. Zeka having to get himself out of there with the stride breaker. They will just very successfully disengage there. There's a couple of ultimates used on either side. And I don't think BLG are deterred just yet. They're going to go for another attempt as they move into the river here. Dragon trying to be burned. WeiWei has Smite available, walks in, but he's too late here. Zeka now looking for CC. Jiejie over the wall. TP coming down through from Scout to re-engage this one. Meiko gets a hook on into ppgod once again, but he's pulled back into the fray, and Zeka gets the first kill. Showstopper goes through. Flandre forced out of the back of the play, and WeiWei going deep, but he's got a stopwatch for himself. Viper taken down, and BLG, they make their way onto the scoreboard as they take the fight 4-0.
Yeah, you can see the power of the heals, shields, and everything else that is on this BLG side. This is a Serpent Fan game if I've ever seen one, because the ability for BLG to disengage with the Karma, the Shurelya's Reverie, heal up with the Senna, and find everything else is amazing. And they're just turning towards this Dragon. They're going to be so healthy thanks to all the shields and the healing coming through from Amy.
WeiWei just blasts the equalizer. He's like, right, we just gotta burn through this bad boy. Just immediately slams his ult at the Baron. Everybody's here. Baron will go down. This is a very different BLG from Spring. This is decisive. This is clean. This is beautiful gameplay from BLG.
And this is what fans were excited about. This is what they wanted to see. Now, has been a little bit shaky coming through with some of those early plays, but these team fights have been spectacular. And you can see, like, even though everything in the kitchen sink was thrown by EDG, you've got the ability to kite back so well with this composition from BLG, keeping the carries safe. And when all you've got is Jiejie and Scout funneling all this damage in towards Zeka, in towards the tankiest member on BLG, they're going to be fine.
EDG, though, they may have lost the Baron, but they did get the red buff, Dagda, so we'll call that a dub. Here we go, bit of a fight kicking off already. Two members of BLG caught out. It's going to be a good shield coming through. BiuBiu surviving a long time, and it means that actually BLG can capitalize beautifully. Jayce's in trouble. That is a Sylas equalizer there, but it's not enough damage anyway, so they'll get away with it. And the shields continue to come through. Like you said, the sustain on this team from BLG, there just isn't enough damage from EDG to finish these players off.
Yeah, and it's even the fact that, like, Flandre got the pick, right? It looked like maybe you could try and burst them out, especially with the composition EDG has, but the shields, the heals, everything else that comes in makes it so damn hard to actually deal with it. And now we've got a base that could be cracked open by BLG.
This is unbelievable, the decisive gameplay from BLG as well, because when you think to what they were doing in Spring, it was very kind of lackluster, right? Decision making was one of the biggest gripes we had with BLG. We're seeing the total opposite in their first game of Summer. It feels like WeiWei and ppgod slotting into this roster beautifully, and we already know that these two players play together beautifully and control games well. That's what we saw back in 2020 from the squad in Summer, and it feels like now, WeiWei and ppgod, they were what this squad needed to succeed.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like the Drake meme, right? It's also because you got these V5 players. V5 went behind, not so good. V5 went ahead, real damn good. And this is a BLG with the shot callers from V5 ahead. This is why we're seeing this decisiveness. This is why we're seeing them look so damn clean right now. And honestly, with a composition that looks damn near impenetrable for this EDG side, BLG have kind of just outdrafted their opponents and are punishing them for these early mistakes.
It's beautiful to see. BiuBiu now moving towards the bottom side. They do still have, they've got 20 seconds on the Baron, so they're not going to be able to get too much more with that one. Zeka hovering for BiuBiu because he knows that EDG could think about a play, but with Scout and Jiejie up in the top side, I don't think much is going to come from this one, as Zeka using the last 9 seconds of the Baron buff to try and burst the tower down. The rest of the squad arrives, and Baron be damned, they're going to be able to get this one for themselves. They decided to just race with Scout and Jiejie stuck on the top side. There's no answer available for EDG.
Yeah, I think there? EDG were... Yes?
Hang on, we've got a dive on our hands. BiuBiu gets a shield though from the Dawning Shadow. Jiejie low on HP, so is Scout. Oh my god, BiuBiu trying to turn it around. 2v1 here. One more tower shot, do the trick. An accelerated shock blast and finish a kill. They both walk away with their lives, but BiuBiu just broke their ankles. And guess where the rest of BLG are right now?
Hey, I mean, if you see that opportunity to just run down the base after BiuBiu makes that spectacular play, now they can get this inhibitor. You've got BiuBiu's TP to bot lane to set up that wave as well. BLG can punish Scout and Flandre for not being able to, Jiejie and Scout for not being able to finish off the BLG top laner.
And this is just beautiful. We said BiuBiu, one of these players that when he's playing well, he's playing beautifully. And that was exceptional, both mechanically and in terms of what he did for his team on the map there as well. Dragon is going to go down. BLG are completely in control. And the gold lead is only 4,000. But when it comes to control of the map, when it comes to who's where, it feels like it's all BLG.
Yeah, but when you can put a shield on that has about 10,000 gold worth of value, I mean, does the gold lead really matter? Because right now, I ain't getting through any of the shields that BLG have. And look, we talked about Serpent Fang having like a huge amount of value in this game. It's not being picked up by anyone right now. So these shields are going to be paying dividends over and over again. And there's just no way you're ever going to get through them without it.
I would have loved to see Viper pick up the Serpent's Fang instead of the Collector this game, because they're comparable value. In fact, if there's enough shielding, I'm pretty sure Serpent's Fang outvalues Collector pretty quickly. But the downside is you don't get crit, right? And he wants the crit to play the Kaisa so you can get IE. But he has gone for a third item before IE, so you still could have gone the Serpent's Fang. It still would have been fine. You could still go for the IE. So I think maybe just Serpent's Fang would have been the better choice here. Baron going to be coming up in a bit, though, Dagda. And BLG want to control this top side.
Yeah, I mean, they can push this in, fall back over towards Baron, which is just up. They just want to get this last remaining outer turret down, and then they can pretty handily fall back. And again, BLG can start up this Baron without much hindrance because they have so much shields and heals to tank the damage. It's basically next to nothing if they actually start it up.
Very easy for them to just tank that one indefinitely. And I mean, honestly, it'd be easy for Zeka to just tank this tower. Aiming walks up. Zeka's happy to take a couple of shots here. They could just take it in turns, get the sustain on out. Who needs minions? Minions are for chumps, you know? Now over to the Baron they can go. Like, what do you do? They just deadfall for the rest of the game.
That just upsets me. It's like, we don't need waves. We've just got infinite shields and heals. That's just sad.
Oh, hang on. Equalizer goes through. Meiko is stuck. Oh, that dredge line was beautiful. Somehow Meiko gets out with basically a full health bar. That was impressive, honestly. And that was a fairly large amount used. The Equalizer is a big cooldown. BLG. Time for a cheeky little death brush. And they charge straight back out onto Meiko once again. Zeka onto the backline, pulling everybody in as the rest of the team goes on to Jiejie. Meiko forced away. The jungle and support out of the fight. Now Scout and Flandre desperately trying to flee. Their health bars are still full for BLG. This is insane.
And Scout even had to steal away the Karma ult to just get his team out of there. Like, EDG don't have a hope in hell. And honestly, it's kind of ironic that the only Serpent Fang that we're seeing this game is out of BiuBiu. But BLG are winning these fights handily. Now they're turning towards the Baron. Now they're the ones that are fully in control. And what do you do as EDG? You can't even contest them right now.
I mean, Dagda, you're the color caster. I'm meant to be asking you that because I sure as heck don't have an answer for you because I have no idea how you come back from this one. This feels like BLG. And again, I want to reiterate, the gold lead isn't that dramatic, but in the fights, it feels... this feels like a 15k gold lead with how one-sided the fights are. But again, also, Flandre wasn't in Mega Gnar, right? It was a perfect opportunity for BLG to find themselves that fight as well. So very, very nicely done by BLG and just really cognizant of what they can do on the map when.
It's just the amount of value that they're getting out of this composition as a whole, right? And it's kind of why we've seen Karma banned quite a bit. Is if you've got a composition like this, right? Zeka has a shield, Karma's going to give shields. Well, then you get the general healing that's going to come through from Aiming just existing as a person. BiuBiu having the Eclipse as well. Like, there's just so much value that you can get from the general healing on this squad. And then you're only looking at, like, even further shields coming through from, like, WeiWei having one in his kit. ppgod being able to blast out several over a long period of time. He's also got the Serpent Fang there as well, so being able to power up a lot of the AP capabilities of WeiWei and that, like, this is just such a strong composition to go against, and nigh on impossible to deal with for EDG, who are much more burst orientated in their composition. They don't really have the sustained damage to get through everything.
This feels so tough for EDG. Their mid lane inhib is going to respawn very shortly, so there are no super minions mid right now, but it doesn't matter too much because BiuBiu can just go over there and push it himself. They still have a minute 30 on this Baron, so the last couple of minutes was just set up. Now it's time to begin the siege. They can all just sit bot lane while BiuBiu pushes waves in the mid lane. As soon as you answer mid, the bot lane gets punished and vice versa, but the waves aren't synced up right now, Dagda.
Yeah, they still should be able to get it off this push. It's cannon there. They actually just speed up to go in. They're just going to brute force it.
Oh, here we go. They want to fight for themselves. The inhib is like the minimum reward that they want from this Baron. The Scout has got the equalizer, so BLG decide not for now. They're going to back away and move towards the mid lane instead. Remember, no tower available to defend that mid lane, but Flandre in Mega Gnar. You know, Sylas stealing away the equalizer as well. Feels like maybe don't push it too hard. And BLG playing this one very, very safe.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this stage, EDG are worried that they might go towards Mountain Dragon, but here we go.
Zeka just has a shield more than his entire health. Oh, what is that? He's still full HP. Equalizer comes down, does absolutely nothing. BLG just waltz in, take the inhib, waltz out. Everyone's still full HP. It's like EDG didn't even do anything. It's BLG, I'm not even sure they noticed that EDG were in the base.
Yeah, it kind of feels like that at this stage. And now you're kind of saying, hey, look, there's a dragon here. We got 2 inhibs. Now we can just rotate towards top and close out this game. And when you're just able to brute force your way onto these towers because you've got so many heals, shields, and everything else, like, trying to defend this is nigh on impossible. You don't control side lanes. You don't control anything for EDG. And this is just wait and close out this game for BLG.
It's feeling that way, and remember that coming into this one, EDG were, like, based on previous results, a clear favorite. And we were saying, hey, what can ppgod and WeiWei do? Like, what will they look like on this roster? Is it going to be enough to clear things up? Because BLG in spring, they finished 11th place. That's not a good place. Not even top. Like, when there are 10 teams that make it to playoffs, if you're not making it to playoffs, you're not in good shape as a team. That's the way I look at it. So feels like there was a lot of work to be done for BLG, and clearly these roster changes have ticked a lot of those boxes. But it's not over yet, Dagda. They're not over the finish line just yet, and I've seen many a team stumble at the final hurdle in the LPL.
Yeah, I think as well, kind of like looking at this, BLG just outdrafted EDG in a lot of respects. Like, the blind Sylas coming in from Scout, I'm never a big fan of blind Sylas. When you look towards, like, the last minute swap we had through with the Sett actually going to mid, BiuBiu taking the Jayce up top side, like, it gave so much favorable control over to the solo lanes of BLG, and now you get to see the rewards, right, where this aiming and ppgod combo are just able to keep this entire squad alive with the range, with the damage, with everything, and EDG is struggling.
Yeah, flash backwards from BiuBiu there. Nearly got caught himself. As I mean, aiming has 135 souls at this point. He has basically infinite range. The supers are going to push in mid. And they're just going to just walk at the tower. We saw this earlier on in the game. They have so much shielding and healing that they're able to just walk up.
Shielding, of course.
Yeah, shielding. We'll just refer to it as shielding for the rest of the game. Here we go. Hook comes in. Scout up on the flank as well. There's an Everfrost across the team. Shields come across with the Dawning Shadow. Viper going golden. EDG trying to find the fight. ppgod flashes away. Can they do it? Health bars are low, but EDG are slowly but surely burning out. WeiWei drops his ultimate, finishes off Scout. Jiejie goes down. It looked so good, but it wasn't good enough. Flandre, the last man standing, as BLG. They're gonna take game 1 of the series against all odds. BLG are gonna make this upset happen for themselves in week number 1 of the summer split. In their first game onto the Rift, BLG make a statement and take down EDG.
A phenomenal game from BLG. The draft was wonderful. The execution on the top side of the map worked out so well for them as well, getting BiuBiu ahead. And from that point, they just looked absolutely unstoppable. And this is a BLG now that I think a lot of teams will be looking at and going, okay, we see you. We're going to have to pay attention to this roster now.
And, you know, like, the whole time I've been casting the LPL, BLG's not been looking so hot, right? There was 2 weeks in
It was
spring
2 weeks.
at the
It was 2
start of
weeks.
2020 that looked real good, and then it's been a bit of a disaster since that point. But now we see them take it down EDG, and this whole time I was trying to figure out what the name meant, what BLG stood for, and it's Bilibili Gaming, but that didn't make sense to me. But now I'm seeing it. Now they're gaming.
Oh God! I thought that was gonna go somewhere else. But
No, that's all.
But yeah, they're gaming real hard. They're true gamers. But I think the biggest thing for this BLG side was I loved what they did in the draft. I loved the flexibility that we had there with the Sett going in towards the mid lane. It felt like it threw a wrench into the works. But I think for EDG as well, like hard forcing this like super burst heavy combo with like super short range when you've already got to see like the Karma that's come through, you got to see the Senna that's come through as well. It really didn't feel like a good idea to me. There's a couple of ways you can try and play against this, is like go like pure side lane, just completely avoid this mass of shielding and healing, or you can try and go for more consistent damage, so you're not just getting all that damage absorbed by the shields, the healing comes through and then they're totally fine to re-engage afterwards. But it felt like EDG kind of just opted into playing what BLG wanted them to play, and then finding themselves kind of stuck at the hard end of a lot of the damage that was coming through from BLG's side. So I think overall, when we get to draft 2, we may see different things coming through from EDG, specifically banning the Karma. But other than that, BLG played that spectacularly. Apart from some kerfuffles in the bottom lane, I'm going to say, with ppgod having some missteps. Other than that, Zeka looked wonderful on this set. BiuBiu again looking super strong in this carry role in the top lane. And WeiWei finding a home for himself as the jungler for this BLG side.
Yeah, and for me, I think Zeka's set was one of the highlights of this composition. Like, obviously, he had a lot of sustain to back him up, right? But clearly knowing that, clearly being confident enough to be able to go forward and use that sustain. Like, there was multiple moments where we saw like Flandre and Scout and Meiko kind of testing him, like stepping up and sparring a little bit to see if he would give ground. He's like, nah, mate, I've got 19 shields but I got plenty of shielding behind me. So he just keeps on walking forwards and doesn't give an inch of ground. Really beautiful stuff coming out from BLG, and really exciting to see that once again they're coming in with a very clear strategy. Clearly this is something that they've practiced and have down to a T. I want to know what else is in the strategy book. I mean, obviously if this all gets through the draft, just play it again, obviously, but I don't expect that to be the case. Where do they adapt from here is my question.
Yeah, well, I want to hit on a little bit more kind of what you said about Zeka on the set, because when we look towards like Zeka in spring, he definitely kind of slotted, although we said we like the Zoe, we like these assassins, he definitely slotted into that facilitator role a little bit more, right? Where we're seeing him play a lot of the Twisted Fates, the Gallios, these kind of things. And it feels like when we're already kind of talking about, WeiWei and how playing towards this guy, he can actually step up to be another carry. I think if you got someone that's willing to be a facilitator on Setts, on Gallios, and Twisted Fates, this could be the way that BLG is now willing to play, and just have WeiWei step up as the actual carry, rather than Zeka, who can play this more facilitator style, because I think the set worked perfectly there.
Yeah, well, I said I was excited to see what BLG could do today. I did not expect them to start this series 1